What if I told you that ordinary Americans once built wealth without banks, without credit cards, and without Wall Street controlling their lives? No billionaires, no hedge funds, no central bank pulling the strings, yet somehow they prospered. Families owned land outright, communities funded themselves. Debt didn't quietly drain generations. So here's the question that should make you uncomfortable. If this system worked so well, why was it erased from history? Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll understand how money once served people and how everything changed. This is Finance TED Official. A time before the banks imagined America, before skyscrapers, before credit scores, before monthly interest ruled your life. In the late 1700s and early 1800s, most Americans didn't trust banks. Not because they were uneducated, but because they were cautious. Banks had collapsed before. It wiped out savings. They had favored the powerful, so people built something different. A system rooted in community, real value, and mutual trust. Farmers traded crops. Merchants issued local notes. Towns created their own currencies backed by land, goods, or labor. Money wasn't an abstract number. It was personal. Surprisingly, it worked. How ordinary people built real wealth. Here's the part modern finance never talks about. Early Americans didn't chase getting rich. They focused on ownership, land ownership, tool ownership, skill ownership. Debt existed, but it was short-term, personal, and negotiated face-to-face. If someone failed, the goal wasn't punishment. It was a recovery. Communities understood something powerful. If your neighbor fails, the whole town suffers. So systems encouraged cooperation, not extraction. Local credit unions formed. Mutual aid societies thrived. Barter and commodity-backed money kept value grounded in reality. Wealth grew slowly, but it grew wide, not just at the top. The idea that changed everything then came a dangerous idea. What if money didn't have to be tied to land or goods? What if it could be controlled, issued, and multiplied by institutions? This idea didn't arrive suddenly. It crept in quietly, large banks promised. Stability, efficiency, growth. They argued that centralized money would protect people from chaos. At first it sounded reasonable, but every promise came with a trade-off. The slow disappearance of local money as banks expanded. Local currencies were discouraged, then restricted, then eliminated. Why? Because local money couldn't be controlled from far away. Governments standardized. Paper money replaced trust-based systems. Debt changed too. It was no longer personal, became mathematical. Interest stopped being a tool, became a weapon. For the first time, money could grow without producing anything, and slowly, power shifted. When money stopped serving people by the late 1800s, something had flipped. People worked more but owned less. Debt lasted longer. Crises became more frequent. And every crash followed the same pattern. Banks survived, communities collapsed. The system that once protected everyday Americans was gone. In its place stood something colder, more complex, more profitable for a few. Money was no longer a shared tool. It was a system of control. The psychological shift no one noticed. Here's the most disturbing part. The change wasn't just financial, it was mental. People stopped asking, "How do we build together?" and started asking, "How do I survive alone?" Fear replaced cooperation. Competition replaced trust. Debt became normal. Ownership became rare. And slowly, generation by generation, people forgot there was ever another way. Why this history was never taught? Ask yourself this. Why do schools teach compound interest, but not community credit systems? Why do they praise entrepreneurship, but ignore mutual wealth models? Because systems that empower people don't benefit those who profit from dependency. A population that remembers alternatives is dangerous. So the story was simplified, then shortened, then erased. The forgotten lesson that still matters: the story isn't about nostalgia, and it's not about rejecting modern finance. It's about awareness. Early Americans understood something timeless. Wealth grows best when money circulates locally, stays connected to real value, and serves human needs, not institutions. That lesson still applies. You may not print your own currency, but you can. Prioritize ownership over debt, invest in skills, not just assets, build networks, not just credit lines. The quiet comeback you didn't notice, interestingly. Some of these old ideas are returning: local currencies, decentralized finance, peer-to-peer systems. History doesn't repeat, but it echoes. And every time systems become too centralized, people search for alternatives again. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If early Americans could build wealth without modern banks controlling money, what parts of that system could we bring back today? Comment your thoughts below. Like if this changed how you see money. Subscribe to Finance TED Official, because the most powerful financial knowledge is the kind they forgot to teach. This isn't just history, it's a warning, and maybe a roadmap.